Luck,
Oh,
luckily we have 2 bathrooms, so I was able to use a separate bathroom and wear a mask in the house, and plus run an air purifier.
right.
That all really, it did the trick, because we've been
Wow.
testing. Unfortunately, my last test yesterday, I still was positive, but the line was much lighter than it was
Right.
the first day I tested. So I think the viral load is really diminished.
Wow.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Did you ever develop a cough at all?
Just a slight tickle, Joyce, where, and of all places on the plane where you're trying not to be conspicuous, I do not feel well. It's like, oh my God, thank goodness for the mask. And so I just kept drinking water, on the plane, and that was okay. But no, never, people describe a very dry hacking cough.
Yes.
No, I never did. But I'm still, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but my family can hear it. It's,
I can
Yeah.
hear it, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's the worst.
Yes.
So
We have a good friend who has it as well, and he is just coughing and coughing and coughing. It went right to his chest, and he's vaxxed and double boosted and all that. But I was on the fence, and you convinced me. I got my second booster.
Good. You
my
better.
arm hurts.
we'll have to do some of that single arm practice today, Joyce.
Yeah. Oh God, okay, I don't know. Just as long as I can only do right hand and not. But I made progress because it's not hurting me. I can at least practice it. I was at the point where I couldn't even practice it. It was hurting.
Yeah.
So, I can now, so he helped me. He got me halfway through.
Well, maybe we can get the rest of the way today.
Good.
So, looks
Is
like.
it okay if I sit here?
well,
Now
it's
that
not-
I said,
What do I do? Kick you away?
Yeah. Okay, that was a silly question. Okay.
So. Questions? Issues?
David, I just have a clarification question on the form. I watched the video of the last class. It's that double push, and is the first push of that double push backhanded?
Yes.
When, okay. Thank you. That clear.
Yeah, that's intentional because we're inclined to think, oh, I can only push down with my palms, but that's not true. You can
Okay.
push down this way too.
Okay.
And that's why that's in there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need to take a look at that a little bit more closely today, because I don't know that I have the push down with the back of the hand. Is that on the in or the out movement of the elbow? It's so when the elbows come out, the backhands go, okay. It's subtle. That's very subtle.
On both pushes, right?
Yes. The elbows are out on both pushes. Yes.
Okay.
We'll look at that.
All right.
And I'm hearing we should still look at the single arm for you.
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, we can look at it. I have to say, I feel I've made progress because I couldn't even practice it. It was so painful. And I could at least practice it these past 2 weeks.
Okay,
So
good.
it's definitely better, but it's not smooth or so, sure.
Jeff?
If we could review the left arm on the single arm, that would be appreciated. I'm still not, it just doesn't feel comfortable like the right side does. So
It's
I don't
exactly
know.
the same as the right side.
I know. But I've done the right side hundreds of times. I've done the left side not nearly that many. And if you could flow through it once or twice with us, so I can,
Of course.
that would be, give me something to follow
Starting
when
on
I'm practicing.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
David, I think what really helped me on that from the last lesson is when you reminded us to drop the shoulder and the
Right.
elbow. I think what was making it, excuse me, so awkward for me, my shoulder and elbow were up too high, and it was very difficult to get that S curve.
Yep.
But when I dropped the shoulder and the elbow, it flowed a little bit more easily.
Always.
Yeah, but that's tough to remember when old habits die hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were working on keeping the hips parallel to the earth through everything. How's that going?
I have
That's
practiced that a lot, and it comes a lot easier. Like, I'm doing okay with it, but I definitely felt the difference. I probably still am going up and down when I shouldn't be in places, because I can feel myself doing it. But that is also something I focused on. So,
Oh, good.
Carol.
I think it's okay. You know, I'm trying to do it with a mirror, but it's really hard, you know, to really catch that movement. But I'm aware of it. I think because I'm more conscious of it, that I'm feeling like it's coming.
Good.
But I dread when I have to come back to class and you have to watch me do it. So I'm not sure.
One of the things I would recommend is also in that is stopping and starting. You know, go to a point, it almost doesn't matter where. Could be the middle of a transition, could be completing a movement, doesn't matter where. Stop and just say, am I parallel? Am I there? And then if you have to adjust, you adjust and flow on, because it'll sneak in.
Old habits die hard.
Yep. If you haven't been doing that, that's right. That's right. Jeff, is that?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be more conscious of it and to think of it at spots. I don't always think about it, but I think I'm doing okay with it. It needs work still, but I'm becoming more aware of it.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect that to be a particular problem for you, but
Yeah, but having that awareness is a good thing. It's not something I would have otherwise been thinking about had we not brought it up.
yeah, good. So let me give you something else to think about.
Okay.
Unless you're feeling that you don't want another new piece to be aware of. You know, sometimes teacher thinks, oh, I'll keep pouring this stuff on, but it's time to give you a break. So if anybody has a feeling about that, speak up.
I don't know. What's the new piece?
I was going to say, Carol, I snuck a peek at his notes. So it's something that I've done before. Carol, you may have too. So
Sure, let's. I'm willing to try it.
Well,
David, we could always look at it this week and then maybe review it next week if Bill and Dave are with us.
sure. Yep. Yep.
Mm.
So in that case, since she has looked over my shoulder.
I asked you if I could sit here.
I didn't ask if you
Well,
could look at
that's
my notes.
Well,
It's okay.
all right.
There's a fundamental principle in all Taoist body practices, and it's not just in Tai Chi or Qigong, it's in all of them. And it has multiple levels of meaning. It's called Zhu Shi, meaning empty or full. And Rick Barrett, who some of you have played a little bit with, and other people, translated as insubstantial and substantial. And in terms of the body, what this means is that one leg should be full of weight and one leg should be full of chi. The one leg should be receiving energy and one leg should be outputting energy. So we're going to play a little bit with that, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, but let's play a little bit with this, because there is a second element to this that we'll add on in a minute. Let me here. So stand up if you're not. And so just step out into a wide ma boot. So not shoulders width, but step a little wider. And just come into middle weight for a moment. Make sure you relax the quad. You're sitting down a little bit. Let yourself relax down to your base level. Think about your structure, keeping the body connected, the head lifted. And then just for a moment, just shift the weight into one leg as close to 100% as you can. And then shift to the other side. And do it slowly. Don't go real fast. Now, shift back into your first one, and it doesn't matter which leg that is, and pause there. And think about the fact that now you have one leg that is full, that you're standing on, and you have one leg that is hopefully close to empty. And what you want to feel is that the energy is now coming up that empty leg and going down into the earth in that full leg. And that, of course, is part of how you create a stable, substantial, using Rick's word, base. And then as you shift to the other side, feel the energy begin to come up the first leg and go down the other one. And feel the difference. Be really aware that one leg feels full or substantial, and the other one feels insubstantial and empty, and the energy is moving. And of course, at the moment, you can just think about it moving in terms of the macrocosmic circuit in the lower body. So it's coming up the inside of the empty leg, through the dantian, and down the outside of the full leg. So just slowly shift from one to the other, and just see if you can be aware of that change in the flow of the energy. And remember, the hips are parallel to the earth and just sliding from one side to the other. They're not going up and down. You're just sliding across and feeling that flow of the energy. And just To be aware of it, let yourself begin to also rotate. So rotate and shift. Same thing is happening. It doesn't change the flow of the energy. So it happens whether you're just shifting your weight or whether you're rotating and shifting. And remember the 4 points. Keep them together. It really has a lot to do with the movement of the energy through the torso, but also to not impacting negatively your sacral area. Or even higher in the back, but particularly the sacral area. Okay, so now step back into shoulders width and step out into a bow stance. And I don't care which one you do, but make sure it's a good one. Bring yourself forward.
Sorry.
That really tickled me. Okay. So have enough width and enough length. Make sure the forward foot is pointing straight ahead, and that when you relax the quad, you're facing straight ahead, and there's no objectionable torque in the rear leg. And again, just shift. And again, you're going to, now here we only go from 60% on one foot to 60% on the other at the moment. Okay? And no rotation to begin with, just shift the weight. So shift back and pause for a moment and be aware of the energy dropping through your leg and rising up the front one. And then shift forward and be aware of the opposite. Energy coming up the rear leg, going down the forward leg. And just shift back and forth a couple of times. And feel that change of the energy. It flows in one circuit and then reverses. And that reverse, remember, actually is talking about the energy from the outside of the leg that's gone down on that substantial full leg, goes through your etheric body and comes up the inside of the leg. So it's not that there isn't a circuit, there is a circuit. It comes up the inside of the leg, goes down the outside of the rear leg, goes through the etheric body and comes up the inside of that leg and down the outside of the forward as you move forward. And again, the hips are parallel to the earth. And of course, you can do this adding a little rotation to it. So rotating and sitting back, rotating and shifting forward. And this is just the very basic movements that we're doing all the time. And when you shift back, Bring that forward foot back and go into your opposite bow stance, because it may be different. So again, establish your bow stance. Sit down into it. Be forward weighted to begin. And just sit into it and feel it. Feel where you are. Feel what the energy is doing. Make sure that you don't allow that rear knee to collapse in. That closes off your perineum. And then slide back. Energy coming up the inside of that forward leg, down the outside of the rear leg. And do it just shifting first a couple of times. Save the rotation for a moment. Make sure you're not going up and down, just back and forth. And ideally, this should feel very stable. Then you can begin to add rotation. Feel that flow. Up the inside, down the outside, up the inside, down the outside. Good. Just pause for a moment. So anybody have a question?
I just found that my stance was lower in order to feel more stable in doing that. And also Rick's thing of how he does it seemed to help in there too. That foot, knee twist thingy that he says. It's in my head, but I don't know.
Right, absolutely.
But good and really good practice on keeping my hips from not going like this.
Yep.
Not crack, not. So that's it.
Anything for Carol or Jeff?
I was a bit more aware of the insubstantial and substantial aspects and the movement of the energy when the rotation was added. I was not really sensitive to it until we started rotating, and then it improved a little bit.
Good. That's fine. Oh, somebody's here. Elio. Anything for you, Carol?
Nope, just it actually felt really, really good, but I don't feel the energy to the extent that Jeff Boyce do. But it really lights up my arms. I just have to concentrate on feeling it more in my legs.
Okay, good. So there's another piece of this that we need to be aware of. And that is that when you, wherever you are in this movement, where the pressure of your foot is on the earth changes. And I think you're all aware of basically that there is that if you put the pressure more towards the toes, then it helps to raise the energy in that foot. And if you put it more towards Shimian at the heel, that helps it sink. And that actually is really important in all the energy arts. But so we're going to do again what we just did, but add that. So you're not only hoping to be aware of the energy, but you need to, and how you're moving your body, but you also need to be aware of where the pressure is on your feet.
Okay.
Because that has a significant effect.
David, is there a sense of pushing?
Pushing,
I
well,
don't
when
mean
you
that I'm
start to
using-
move, yes.
I don't mean that I'm using my muscles to feel a push, but
No,
I sort of feel a push in the as I start to move from the insubstantial leg into the, the making the other leg substantial.
Yeah.
There seems to be like a push off.
so even when you're in Mabu and you shifted to one side, there is, of course, hopefully, an energetic push from the full leg into the empty leg, which becomes full. Okay, so
Maybe that-
this is the same movement we were doing before. So step out into Mabu, into a wide feet parallel stance. Make sure you relax the hips. In order to keep the hips parallel and the body vertical, you have to relax the hips. You have to sink down. That's what you're doing in the form section of this, and in the single arm and double arm and walking movements. So this is exactly what you're trying to accomplish there. So now, as you push into one leg and pause and feel the full leg dropping towards the heel, that doesn't mean sit way back on the heel so you fall over. It is a very subtle change by where your dantian is positioned on the foot, over the foot. So the dantian makes the change, not the shoulders. And then as you shift to the other side, that changes. The pressure on the heel subtly moves into pressure on the toe as the energy begins to rise, and the other one goes from toe towards the heel. And when you really can keep aware and present with making your substantial legs focus towards the heel, you will find better balance. It's really a critical part of it. So just for a moment, shift back and forth and be aware of the change of where the pressure is on your foot. So it's very subtle. This is not a big movement, but it is constant. And since Jeff finds the energy movement more aware and rotating, you can add the rotation into this. But now it may become slightly more difficult sometimes to maintain that subtle change of pressure on the foot. Keep the 4 points together, the perineum open. Head lifted, shoulders relaxed. Breathe. Not hold the breath. Full leg towards the heel. The empty leg towards the toe. Okay. And in this movement, just from side to side, which we do in some of our practices, it's actually fairly easy to feel that shift from toe to heel. Now I want you to go into a bow stance.
A good one or a bad one?
I'd like a good one.
Okay.
Who is this woman?
I'm comic relief.
So sit into your bow stance. It doesn't matter which foot is forward. We'll do it both sides. But be aware that if you are forward weighted and facing forward, that forward foot is connecting more through the heel. And this is one of the things, one of the benefits of making sure that your knee is in the right position, because as soon as you shift your knee a little forward, you will feel that pressure from your heel go away.
That's a good one.
And however, at the same time, you need to feel the empty leg having its pressure more towards the toe, which you may find is not the same when you shift the weight back. Where the pressure should be is the same, but it's very easy when you shift back to find that forward foot pressing on the heel. So it's not. Its intention is towards the toe. So shift forward, feel the change. And you're just going back and forth between your 60% so that you are stable and rooted in each position. Fairly small movement. It's not a big movement. And rotate. Be aware of the knees. Keep them aligned. Keep your 4 points together. This is a good practice to every once in a while stop and say, okay, where is the pressure on my foot? Where is the energy moving? Where would I like it to move? Go to the other side just to get a little bit on. So first, just give yourself 2 or 3 times of just shifting back and forth, pausing forward. Where is your weight? Where should it be? Then sit back. Where is it? And your intention is an important piece of this, because you need to have your mind in your body, and know what you intend to do. And then add rotation. And again, every once in a while, stop. And you could stop right, say, just past the middle of your movement. So you haven't completed it. And feel where you are. Are you making the transition smoothly from one to the other? And then complete.
So the dantian sort of comes right over the heel.
Pretty close.
I mean, not exactly, but.
Yeah.
But that sense of movement.
There is a sense that it's dropping into the foot, yes.
So you can feel a connection as it goes from the dantian down to the back to the heel.
Yep.
And that's on the outside of the leg.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure it's on the outside of my leg. I feel the dantian and I feel the foot. I don't know about the
Well,
leg.
that's good. So, Carol, Jeff, or Bill, questions?
Not a question, David, but just a comment that I really have to concentrate to get that intent where it needs to be. The movements are so subtle that I honestly have never noticed them before. So yeah, so I need to work on that with my intent, and hopefully the rest comes.
Yeah, it'll come. This is, as with a lot of these things, don't expect it today. It takes time and practice. So, any questions, Jeff?
Nope.
Okay, Bill?
Oh,
Hi, Bill. We're glad to see you.
yeah, I'm glad to be here.
How you doing?
So, I forgot to mention that I've got to get a hernia taken care of, and boy, it's really bothering me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Do you do any surgery, David?
no, I don't do surgery. I do prevention of surgery, but I don't do surgery. But I can't do anything for you for a hernia that has developed.
Okay.
So let's go to the single arm practice. And you actually, obviously, I'm skipping over the walk, which you might actually be a good thing to do first, because it's a little simpler than the single arm. But in order not to be able to help Joyce with her issues.
No, don't do it just me. Do the walk. That's all right. We could just do the walk.
I'm teasing you,
Oh,
Joyce.
all right.
Oh.
My issues.
Okay. So the things we've been talking about today obviously are still present in everything we're doing. So as we go into our walk, and it begins to happen right away. So the energy moves from the left leg to the right as you start out. and then into the center. And then it goes back to the right. Full on the right, empty left, turning the leg, coming on to it. Now the left is full and the right is empty. And you go into the single arm. Again, think of one arm at a time. So it's slowly changing to the forward leg is full, the rear leg is empty. Where is the weight on your feet? And then we go into one. Full has moved back. Front leg is empty. You start to 4. Right leg is full. 5 and 6. So the right leg stays full through that. And then 7. Left leg becoming full, 8. And right leg empty. And then slowly going, not so slowly, because you have 1 and then 2. So you have 1, right leg is full, left leg is empty. 2, they stay the same empty as you continue to rotate, empty and full. So you want the weight into the heel on that rear leg, into the toe on the forward leg. 3, turning. 4, changing again. 5, now you have absolutely full left leg, empty right. And still full left, empty right. Weight towards the heel on the left. And then 7 and 8. Right leg is now full. Weight towards the heel. Rear weight towards the toe. And
That's actually helpful, more in that S curve on the right, on the left. Okay. 1, where's 2? And 3, I know, where's 2? That's what I'm
2 is
missing.
continuing to rotate back. If you're,
It's just like that, this way.
yeah, so you have to remember that the basic, and make sure you're turned all the way forward to begin with, or you've
Yeah.
lost part of your rotation.
I've been working on that these 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I'm going to remind you is, if we go back to the walk, we have 1, and in this case, 2. Okay? But you want to actually think of that being 3 parts to that turn back.
So that's 2, come bring your arm all the way down here.
After you've done, it's not all the way down, it's 3/4 of the way down.
3/4.
Remember? On the,
Oh, geez, that was it.
so,
How was that?
uh,
You weren't
yeah,
watching.
no, it's a, well, it's no S curve.
Oh,
So if we go back, you think about this, just for the moment, don't move your body. So you have 1, 2. So this is all happening right here, not over here somewhere. It'll make it easier. So it's just 1, 2, and then 3 is down here. That's what the arm does. The body does 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So you got to remember that when when an S curve goes to here, it has to go back in the other direction to get to here. It doesn't do that, which is what you're doing. That was better. That was better, actually.
It was?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
There was an indication of the correct direction.
that was an intention.
There was an intention. I could see.
Okay, one more time and then you go play with them.
Okay. Okay, so right away, what Carol learned last week is what you also have to have, which is this movement is not this.
Yes.
This movement is this. Drop. Let it come down. And don't leave it up there. Your shoulder is like,
Yeah, it's 10.
does it hurt?
Not yet, but it might. All right, go, let me process it.
All right.
Go play with that. All right, guys.
Okay. So I beat Joyce up a little bit here. So questions in there at all?
Nope.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is just do it. Let me see that there are no questions.
David, left or right side?
Actually, why don't you do the left side, because that's what Jeff wants to work on,
Okay,
needs to work on.
okay, good.
Jeff, I can't see your arms.
Let
You're cutting off mid-chest. So if you could raise it a little.
me see if I can adjust my position.
Nope. I can't see your left arm at all. Ah, there you are. Good. Okay. One thing first I would say is those movements that are going around the back of the ball, you have to be clearer where your arm is going to move to flow around the back of that sphere. Because it's going too far forward in some cases, and that last one, it was, as it came down, it was wobbling from front to back. Do you understand what I mean?
Being more defined in going around the back of the ball.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a constant problem for me.
Okay.
I won't work on that.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
So can you face me and at least do the right arm movement, the hard part?
On the left side?
Yeah,
Let me-
so you're doing the right arm. No, that's your left arm. Oh, okay,
I wanted to flow into it.
okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Way off my body.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't bad, Jeff. It felt like you knew what you wanted to do and you were getting close to it.
Yes, that's a very good description. I'm closer, not close.
Closer, yes, okay.
Closer.
Um,
Right.
do you
Good,
have
thank
other questions in there?
No, I know the weak points I got to focus on more so now. So that's good.
Okay,
All right,
Um,
thanks.
sure. Bill, did you come up with any questions?
No, I petered out, David.
Okay, that's fine. Just watch. So, do you have more questions
No,
on this?
no, no.
Okay,
You answered my questions and I just have to practice it.
okay, good. So let's go to the form. And first, I want to just go through and I'm going to say stop or pause every once in a while. So you can stop and feel where you are on your feet as we go through the 8-gate form. Okay. So there we go. So just take a moment to breathe. Do your weight in the middle of both feet at the moment. Then step out with the left. Back into the center and go right on into your right bow stance. Left leg full, right leg empty. Right leg full, left, empty. Ward off. Left full, right empty. And right empty, could be emptier. We'll look at this later, Carol. So the forward leg is beginning to get fuller. And then the step shift, the left leg is getting full. And you complete press forward. The left gets fuller, more energy coming up out of the right. right filling as you shift back onto it, the left empty, and then the left filling the energy coming up from the right, and pause. So weight on the left heel and right toe at this point, or towards them. Then shift forward, keep the weight in the heel of the left foot. Now bringing it back into the right and pause. So weight in the towards the right heel, towards the left toe. Staying on the right heel. And that drawing in of the left foot and the positive contact of the left toe is bringing the energy up. And you maintain that as you go through the pull down. And then still full right leg, empty left. And then rising to base level and turning right, positioning the left foot and the arms, and shift to elbow. Full left foot towards the heel, right toe, raising the energy. Forward, filling the left further. Step forward, empty. Rotate and shift. Pause. 7. Right foot is full towards the heel. Left filling. And then 8. Completing the filling. And then the left foot fills, the right empties. And you're ready to continue again. So let's look for a moment at push downward. So I don't want to run out of time and not do that. So I want to do this once. Actually going to come up here. You're not going to see my feet, but I want you to see my arms. So roll back. So at this point, everything, the elbows actually have come in some at this point. And then you step to the side on an angle to the corner actually. And as you start to go down into your arc, the elbows come in, and as you continue down, they go out. As you start to go forward, they come in again. And as you complete the rise, they go out. Notice that I said, as you complete the rise, they go out, not after the rise, you go out.
So there is an up-down movement there?
It's the bottom
It's the
half.
bottom.
It's the bottom half of what we do in the other form,
Correct.
longer forms.
Right, correct. Okay,
Okay,
gotcha. Yes, yeah.
so just to do that again, and I'll turn and do this sort of mirror it, which may make it a little easier since we haven't done the other side of the form yet, or the double arm practice either. So we've completed roll back. As you turn to step, the elbows come in, they go out, they come back in, and they go out. So there is a lot of movement in a very short space. And I don't know that I have any trick for that except practice. Was that?
Yes, I mean, that's a tough spot. I'm
It
not
is.
saying I have it. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
but it's clearer.
Yeah.
But Carol, is that clearer to you?
Yeah, definitely slowing it down, David, really helped. I didn't have that, that push down connected with the movement of the elbows, and now I do. So
Yes.
it's, you said it's practice.
Yep. And you know that the movement of the elbows here is connected directly to the scapula. So feel the scapula move. Actually, as the elbows go in, the scapula move towards the spine. As the elbows go out, the scapula move away from the spine. They move back into the spine and out from the spine.
Okay.
And eventually the scapula actually move the arms, move the elbows. But you can start from the elbows.
Okay, thank you.
Good way to begin. Did that raise a question, Jeff?
Yeah, well, actually, a question. I'm just wondering why either energetically or martially, as we're going through that, the elbows come back in and then go out again, rather than just going out the whole time. That we're that we're moving forward and doing the double push. Why is there that in and then back out instead of just out the whole time?
Because the in actually causes a sucking in of energy, and the going out causes an outward movement of energy.
Okay, but I mean, it feels like we want to be moving outward the whole time we're moving forward, though.
Not necessarily.
Well, I guess not.
So, and I don't think you were here earlier. I was saying to Joyce or Carol, now I can't remember who.
It doesn't matter.
You can push downward with the back of your hands or arms
Right,
just as much as you can push downward with the palms.
right. I did hear that part.
Okay, so what we
I guess martially, are we doing two different push downs? Is that why?
yeah,
Okay,
we are. And they're really, you would not obviously in an actual application probably be doing both,
right.
but this is meant to teach us that we
Okay.
can do both.
All right. So that's my answer, is it's not a straight martial application. It's also a teaching application to show us that we can do both ways in the same.
You should never confuse the form with the actual martial application, because it is only giving you options.
Right. Okay.
The situation you're in is what will determine what you actually do.
Right.
So it's we can talk about martial applications because we can, so that we understand what one or more ways that we might use a movement. And I emphasize that because every posture has multiple ways that it could be used.
Right.
Bruce, in teaching the old yang form, demonstrated martial applications for every posture, and he did it often showing 4, 5, 6, 10 different ways of applying a posture.
Okay.
And many years ago, Stuart Olson, T.T. Liang's disciple, actually did a video showing 50 different applications of single whip.
Wow.
Which I loaned foolishly to somebody who never returned it to me. Um, and unfortunately it's totally out of print. But nonetheless, I've seen it. So,
Right.
So that's really, I think part of the point is that we're in any form, and this one is obviously extremely brief.
Right.
We're learning some possibilities. So we must get hooked into thinking that's how we would do it, because
Right.
it's highly unlikely.
Right.
Also, the other aspect of the in and out is simply to think of it in terms of yin and yang. Obviously, in this case, going in is yin and going out is yang.
Right.
And that flow needs to be going on constantly. That's what's happening constantly. That's what's happening as we shift our weight from foot to foot.
Right.
We're just beginning to perhaps recognize there is an enormous complexity to that. Because not only do we have energy flowing in and out of the legs, we have energy flowing in and out of the arms, and it's not the same as the legs. Occasionally it is, but it's often not. So yeah, it's complex.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
the reason why the movement of the scapula is so important, I'll go one step further with this,
Right.
is that eventually is how you connect to the energy moving through the spine and then to the hands and arms, and back from the hands to the spine and down to the feet, and can be into the side channels. It's part of the energetic connection between the arms and the rest of the body.
Right.
And that
It's like,
has.
so it's like either opening or shutting a channel with a block,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other thing about this push is that we have only one change of energy in the legs, but we have two in the arms. So it's teaching us that everything goes in both directions all the time.
And I think that was part of my stumbling block in seeing it a little more open-mindedly, is that we are continuing to move forward on the legs the whole time, yet we do two different movements of in and out. And that was my difficulty right there.
It is. It's kind of counterintuitive at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it eventually it is not, but I completely understand that it is at the moment.
Right. Well, the more you can explain things like that, it helps tremendously. So I appreciate it.
Of course, no, and one of the things that has happened recently in more than one class is recognizing how important it is to really talk about these things sometimes. It's important not to let me talk too much, but it is important to clarify as much as we can, because that really helps.
This movement that you taught today seems to make it a longer period of time in there that you're shifting the legs, and what you just said, Jeff, that you're moving forward the whole time, your arms are coming in and out, seems like that's a longer time to get all that in, because Carol, like you, that's so much to mush into that little time. I know it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, one of the things to remember is that the movement isn't from rear to front. it's rear to front,
Right.
which is a lot longer and gives you a path within which you can slow it down as much as you need to.
Mm.
I mean, if you're running out of time to do something, you obviously need to slow something down. So that's one of the things to remember is you can always slow it down and work it through. And then eventually it all becomes easy and you can go in and out more quickly. But
Right.
sometimes you need to really slow it down and make it clear and teach your body what you're trying to do. So, other questions? Well, Carol, I'm glad to see you on the mend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bill, I hope to see you on the mend.
Thanks.
Hang in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Jeff, stay safe.
We're
Yeah.
working.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, don't go to Paris.
Yeah. That's why you're so sick. This is Parisian COVID.
Is that it? Son of a gun.
Boy.
Thank you all.
Bye,
Thank you, Dave.
everybody. I'm gonna
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Any other questions, Jeff? You're not there, huh? It's frozen? Oh, well.